moment to breathe, grab a beverage or two. We got professional guests with lots of stories for you. So take a seat right here and join us on Careers Over Beers.
Yeah, so how do we start this thing off?
I think we just started off how you just did. We just start talking into the mic.
Well, you asked me how I found this, or like why I found this, or why I wanted to be on a podcast. But
yeah,
really the goal right now and like the mission is to get more people to consider training as a career option, which
Really?
sounds weird, but we have an abundance of opportunity. And when we look at the city of Wichita, since 2018, we've went from the 23rd unhealthiest city in the country to roughly the 11th, depending on what study.
Are you for real?
I'm dead serious.
So tell us who you are first and what you do before anything.
So I'm Tiger Faulkner. I'm a personal trainer at Genesis Health Clubs. This past year was actually the #1 trainer in our company. I'm planning on being that same thing this year. We
Congrats,
have over
man.
1,000 trainers in the company, so it's pretty cool. I'm sure everybody knows probably what Genesis is, depending on where
yeah,
you're at.
anybody in Wichita, maybe even Kansas, you know.
Yeah,
You
so
know Genesis.
You know Genesis, and you know, so
Yeah.
there it is. And you know,
You're a personal trainer, and I looked at your Instagram. You're somewhat of like a bodybuilder too, though, right?
I have competed. I don't know if I'm still going to be competing. I think at this point I might be done, but it's an interesting space. It's fun. It's a fun thing to talk about too.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of money, and the other side of that is the energy cost is big. And so last time I did my show, I mean, my clients can attest to this. When I get pretty deep into prep, like 4 weeks out, I'm worthless. Like
Really?
those training sessions are terrible. They're really not good.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's all involved in it. You can get into that if you want to, I guess, but you don't have to.
No, dude, I'm an open book. Let's get into it.
Let's
It's
do
get
it.
interesting. So
I got a good question though, right off the bat. Why do you
ahead.
guys tan yourselves with the fake tans?
Okay, so that used to not be a thing.
Really?
And this is a sensitive thing. So
Uh-oh.
white bodybuilders would get washed out on stage
Mm-hmm.
in comparison to their black counterparts.
Why?
And so because the lighting is so bright. I mean, it makes this lighting look dark. I mean, it is so bright. You can't even see.
So if you have a pale white body, it just doesn't reflect.
It washes out all the lines. And so
I gotcha.
when black competitors started competing, because originally that wasn't a thing,
Yeah.
everyone noticed, like, holy cow, like their lines are way better and they look way
It took
better.
over.
And they ran it. And so they were like, okay, so they started tanning. And that tan, like in those pictures, doesn't look that bad. But if you look at like somebody off stage outside the lights, it looks sketchy. Like
Really?
like that first show, dude, like it looks like you're not trying to be white anymore. Like it is a sketchy level of dark.
Well, you don't do the face though, so it's not
No,
racist.
your
It's
face
not
still
black.
gets tan.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay,
You
so you're
still-
going full black bod. You're not just doing black face.
It's like the whole thing. I mean, you're dark, dude. You're dark.
You have a good excuse though, so you can wait.
It
with
is for
I
the
guess.
show, but when you go out after the show and you're eating, if you haven't showered yet,
are like,
people are.
"What?
What is going on?
What is this dude?
What
is this dude
that?
trying to start rapping or what?
Yeah, it's interesting. Everyone stares at you a little bit, and I mean that's part of the gig in bodybuilding, anyways. Like if you're in a gym and you're 2 weeks out, if you look the right way, you don't look
like a normal person.
you don't look normal. It doesn't.
Yeah.
If you're really ready, you will not like you won't look how you should look. Like you look scary. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's alien to people. I mean, it's scary. I mean,
It's crazy
cool.
looking, you know. It's normal people don't look like that. Even people that are really healthy and work out all the time, you're doing something special as a bodybuilder.
Yeah. Well, on stage, it doesn't look as crazy as it looks in person. Truthfully,
Really?
like those stage pictures look crazy, right?
Yeah.
In person, like in the gym lifting, like dude, I had striations in my glutes. Like my glutes were separated. There was lines in my glutes, and a lot of people have seen this picture, but like we're gonna get personal fast. You can see straight through. Like you can see the whole thing.
Oh, really?
It just shows because there's no fat. So there's not like a crack. There's just a hole.
So you can just see your asshole?
You can literally see straight into it.
Really?
It's terrifying. It's
Wow.
cool though. That's how you know you're ready. And then you get, I mean,
People might be coming to your shows for the wrong reasons then at that point.
well, they don't, that, you gotta wear underwear, so they don't see it on stage, but like,
That doesn't hide much either, though.
no, you don't. And then hormonally, it's horrible for you. I mean, 4 weeks out, I mean, full on erectile dysfunction.
Really?
And then 4 weeks after, full on erectile, like
You're not
nothing.
jerking at all during
You
those
can't
4
even
weeks.
get hard.
Really?
You can't. I couldn't.
Why would you do that?
And I'm like, I was 20. Yeah, I'm only 22 now, so I
it
mean,
wouldn't be worth it.
oh, it's brutal, but when you're that deep, you don't think about it. You're only thinking about food. So you don't even have time to think about anything else anyways.
Yeah.
You're not like walking to the gym, checking out girls. Like I'm starving. When's my next
Does
meal?
it hurt you if you have a tiny package? You know, if
I
you're
don't
presenting
think
yourself on stage, they don't take the bulge into account.
I'd hope to God they don't take that into account for my sake. I mean, I need help. No, I don't think that matters. Hopefully, but
as a white dude, that might be a big factor.
So I'm not wearing. I don't wear there's different groups. So you have like classic physique, you have open bodybuilding, you have physique. Physique wears board shorts. Classic physique wears like they're basically like tighty whities, but they're not like the full like G-string looking thing you see for open bodybuilding. And so like it's a little hidden on my end of things. So it's not as bad. I'm not wearing just like it's literally just your sack being held. I'm not wearing that. So we're good. Are we alled to cuss on this?
You can say whatever you want, man.
Thank goodness.
You can say any cuss word you
I'm
want.
going to try to be professional.
You can say dick, balls, whatever.
Okay. All right. We're getting in.
We're already talking about assholes.
We got straight into that. Supposed to be talking about training. What's going on?
These are the important things, though.
People want to know about bodybuilding. I get it. It's foreign to people that are outside the space.
It's a weird group. It's a weird world to get involved with, you know?
It's never something I thought I'd be in. I always made fun of it growing up. But
how did you get involved in it?
So I'm from Salina, which is about an hour and a half north of here. It's a small town. I worked out in a really small gym. And basically, I worked out because like I was overweight and I didn't like how I looked. And truthfully, I mean, that's the main reason most people start. And, I was young. I was like 14 when I started, and so getting deeper into it, there's a guy that like approached me in the gym. He's like, "Hey, are you gonna compete?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're out of your mind. Look at me. There's no way." And he's like, "No, you could do it. You could do it." And he convinced me. And so then I got a coach hired, and I went and did my first show, and I was definitely not ready to compete. I looked terrible. I was way too skinny. But I mean, it was just one guy telling me like, "Dude, you should do this." I was a baseball player in high school, and you know how they say you should get like a new puppy before your old dog dies. It's kind of fucked up, but I mean,
that's the first time I've heard that, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, if your old dog dies, right, now you have to train the new puppy. The old dog can help train the new puppy.
The old dog helps it out, yeah.
And you have like a gap where like you can't go buy a new puppy right after your dog dies.
Right.
That's not fair to the old dog.
Yeah, it's
so you got to buy it before, which also isn't fair, but as long as it goes unsaid, it's fine.
Yeah.
And so bodybuilding was that new puppy for me as baseball was dying.
Because you knew baseball was going to come to an end, and you're like, all right, I need to find something
I'm a
else.
competitive motherfucker. Like
yeah.
It's bad. Like I can't stand losing. I'm bad about it.
I would think so. Somebody in your position as a personal trainer, you gotta be, right?
I can't.
You gotta push yourself.
I'm a terrible loser. I'm a graceful winner, but I'm a terrible loser.
Yeah.
And not like accuse you of cheating loser, but like I'm pissed. So it was like I need something to keep me competitive, or like I'm gonna be miserable. And you know, I go through lulls still, where like there's not a competition like at the forefront. Mm-hmm. You know, especially in bodybuilding. I mean, there's years in between shows.
Yeah.
You can't. Oh, are you competing this year? No, I just did last year. Like I need 2 more years to get bigger. Like I'm not even close to ready. And people are like, really?
Oh, really? That big of a gap?
Yeah. I
crazy.
take bigger gaps, and some people compete every year and they get the same result every year. And it's like, oh, congrats. You know, you look the same and you did the same, but that's not me. I mean, I need the time. And so
is there a peak age where you're best? I mean, obviously in physical activity and sports and stuff, you know, you peak around 27, 30, whatever. But as far as like physique,
in terms of like athletic performance, typically I think the average like peak is right around 25. But if you look at bodybuilding, it's late. It's like 30, 35.
Really?
Truthfully, because there's a thing called muscle maturity, which you really can't describe it unless you're in the space and you know what it looks like. But basically, you end up looking leaner is probably the best way to say it because of the age. And your skin sinks in deeper to the muscles, and I mean everything just looks a little bit better.
Skin's thinner.
Yeah, your skin gets thinner, and you just look dry. And so when you're younger, everything is like really full and bouncy and bubbly, and that makes you not look as lean. And you still look great. I mean, they all look great, but it definitely, muscle maturity helps out a lot. And so that was like one of the big problems I've ran into every time I'm on stage. It's like I'm lean as can be.
You're too young.
But I don't look as lean because I'm so young, and I'm not big enough either, because you have to be really big to be really lean. Because your muscles have to like push to the surface of your skin. So...
But you felt really old because you couldn't get a boner.
You can't do that. Your joints hurt. You don't want to get up. It's horrible.
So it's probably not good for you then, right?
It's horrible for you. It is not.
It's horrible for you, which is the opposite. Most people would think if you're a bodybuilder, you're at the peak of your performance, right? Mm-hmm. You can see all of your muscles. Most people would think that's the healthiest person on planet Earth, but in reality, it's detrimental probably.
It's horrible. It's super bad for you. I mean, I think anything below like 8% body fat's rough. I mean, it's not good for you. And 8% even. I mean, 8% super, super lean. You'd have to be like an extremely high-level athlete competing at a high level every day to maintain 8% and be healthy.
Right.
And so for bodybuilding, you're getting down to like 4-5%. And I mean, you think about it, I weigh 200 pounds. That's 8 pounds of fat tissue. The average person's probably sitting at like 35, 50, you know? And
crazy.
I say average person, but like that's probably where the average should be, not where the average is.
Yeah.
That's a different health subject. The averages are horrible.
Do they keep on moving too as time goes on?
Oh yeah. The bar keeps getting lower, which is it's horrible. I mean, we keep lying to people.
The obesity crisis. You know what's really crazy now is that you can't talk shit on people that are fat either. You can't say that they're unhealthy or that's mean, you know?
So all right, I'm gonna push you on this. I am against it. I don't think you should. I used to. I mean, when I was that young, like, arrogant guy in the gym that had, like, just gotten fit, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, why did I think I was entitled to, like, have that mantra? Because I came from that. I was overweight.
I'm not talking about making fun of people that are fat. I'm talking about accepting, you know, like, there's this big acceptance
there's healthy
movement.
at every size, right? HAES, right? And that's, like, the whole, like, you can be 300 pounds and be healthy, right? That, I mean, that statistically, that's not true. Right, but like the idea of like being mean to them, like
I'm not saying be mean to them at all. I'm just saying that this movement that seems like you're not allowed to address it or tell somebody that they're unhealthy or whatever. You know, it's more of like they are who they are. Well, no, they're not because they're living unhealthily.
I agree with that too. Like where the whole like, oh, your doctor shouldn't weigh you. Shut the hell up. Yeah, he should. Yeah. You know, and so this is an interesting thing. We talk about this a lot with a lot of our members when we first start, and this is a Mayo Clinic survey, where 72.2% of Americans found themselves to be in great health. So like they believed they were in great health.
Yeah.
We know it's not 72%, right? I mean, think about it. The average American is obese.
Most people are obese
over 50%. Yeah. And so 72% think they're in great health, right? The actual number is 2.
Yeah.
It's 2%. I mean, when you have that massive discrepancy, one has to ask themselves like, why? Why does that happen, right? And it's partially that. If you Google the definition of health, it's an absence of disease. Which means like if you're not diagnosed with some form of illness, then you're healthy. That's horrible. That's such a big lie to people.
Yeah.
Most people aren't diagnosed with anything yet.
Everybody has some sort of condition, whether it's inflammation or whatever it might be.
Well, yeah, and I mean, adipose-based chronic disease is the number one death, like another number one killer in the country. I mean, heart disease is adipose-based chronic disease. Yeah. So extra tissue and chronic disease caused because of that. And so to say that like it's not a problem or that we're all healthy is insane to me.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that this movement to not address it, not being allowed to address it or say it because that's who they are, just accept it. You're letting people kill themselves with food and being unhealthy, you know?
Yeah. Well, you're seeing it flip back. It's flipping back socially.
It will, yeah.
Everything is right now. I mean, so everything was pushed so far, and so like the pendulum swings. And so like a lot of the things that, like, I mean, I've seen it in just my childhood and like growing up. When I was like 10, I could say anything I wanted, you know? I mean, anything, and you're pretty much fine.
Right.
And then at like 18, because I'm 22 now, at 18, it's like, okay, now like you can't use different, like, not slurs. Slurs have always been pretty bad, but like you can't call people certain names and certain things.
Yeah, the world changes.
The world changed. And then now it's almost like edgy. Like this whole like edgy thing is coming back now. Where
is
like
it?
Now you can say certain stuff. And I'm like, I don't really know how this goes. But it's all done like anonymously and stuff like that on like Twitter. It's a mess. That's a whole nother conversation again.
That's a whole other thing too, yeah. The internet's always going to be kind of like the Wild West, you know, if you have an anonymous account. People are going to say anything. Yeah, people are going to say some fucked up shit.
Oh, for sure. And so,
and I'm not saying, you know, we should make fun of fat people, although, you know, I'm still very overweight. I've been way more overweight in my life, and things that helped me out were my dad called me a fat ass every day.
That's what got me going. I mean, I was like, you know what I'm saying? I was 14 and my dad walked into my room. No, I was 13. My dad walked into my room. I was playing PlayStation, and he said, "You're fat. We're going to the gym." Yeah, that was it.
Exactly.
And he just walked out, and I'm like, what just happened, right?
Yeah.
So we go to the gym. We got kicked out because I was only 13. You had to be 14. So I started going a year later. But, I mean, if it wasn't for my dad, who also was an obese individual, like forcing me to do that, I'd never be where I'm at now. Now it's my career. And I mean, I like my career, and it's going well. So I'm very thankful.
That's awesome. How did you figure this out then? When did you decide to become a personal trainer?
So original game plan. This is I'm gonna make this story longer than it needs to be, but I wanted to be an engineer because it was like 4-year degree, highest paying job for 4 years. Like I'm sold, right? And boy, did I not know what I was doing. Because
was that competitiveness in you. You're just like,
well, I didn't like
be the best,
school.
make the most money.
I mean, I hated school. I was like, school was very boring for me. I naturally performed in school, and I was just tired of it. It wasn't challenging. It wasn't fun. It wasn't exciting. So I was like engineering. Started doing that. I hated it. And I'm very social. I like to talk. And so a teacher told me, like, dude, you're going to be miserable if you do that. You got to switch to something. So I switched into physical therapy because I really had gotten into exercise.
Yeah.
And that's 7 years of school. And it's like, I don't know if
it's
that's
a lot.
happen.
I had a physical therapist on here a couple months ago.
Yeah, I saw that. There's beef there, by the way. Fair warning.
Is there?
Physical therapy and personal training.
Between you two?
No, I don't know him specifically. But
he told me about the schooling, and I was like, holy shit, you're basically going to med school almost,
yeah, I mean, it's a doctorate. They're
Yeah.
doctors now. And so, but physical therapists and personal trainers don't like each other. We'll talk on that. So, yeah, so I switched to physical therapy. I did a year of school, like 2 years, and I was like, this sucks. I'm getting bored. And I started training in my second year, and things were going decent. I was doing well, and COVID hit, and that delayed me a little bit. But basically, after about 3 years of school and personal training, I started pacing to make about $60,000 a year, right? And then I looked up, like, okay, median income for a physical therapist in Wichita, it's $84,000 a year. I'm like, that's $24,000. Okay, so I need X amount of clients. I need to do this many sessions a week, and this is how many calls I have to make. This is how many people need to sit down in front of me. If I can do that, I can make more than that physical therapist at 84. And so I dropped out of school literally on January 1st. I was like, I'm done, right? New year, I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit to training. I didn't tell my parents. And I worked the first 100 days straight. No days off. I worked 100 days.
Every single day.
Every single day. I worked 100 days in a row.
Damn.
And so I'm very blessed. My mom was a very hard worker. She works at a hotel as an executive housekeeper, which is not like a glamorous job, but she did, I think it's 74 days in a row or something, and I wanted to beat her. So there's the competitiveness, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do 100 days straight, and I'm going to make this a successful thing so that at the end of the year I can show my parents my W-2 and be like, like this works, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the first year I won Trainer of the Year. I made $85,000 that year, so $1,000 more than the median income of a physical therapist. And I was like,
that'll do.
I did it. I'm good. And so, and that was that was last year. That was 2021. And so that was like it for me. And I knew I loved it because I'd done it already for like 6 months. COVID hit and delayed me. And it was so fun. I loved what I was doing.
Were you able to set yourself up so that just continues to add on to it? Or is that something you have to grind that hard for every single year?
So I got to be careful because I want people to do this job, right? Like that's my mission right now is I want more people to be trainers because I think it's good for the public. I think that's the thing that drives behavior change. I didn't mention it, but in the 2018 to us becoming the 11th unhealthy city in the last 4 years, we've tripled the amount of gyms in our city. So we've increased the number of gyms, but we've gotten less healthy, right? And if you look at like AA or rehab, humans drive behavior change, not gyms. Not gym equipment.
Yeah.
And if you've been to the Genesis in town, or like I'm located at West Central, and if you compare that to like let's say the Vasas that were open, and it's Genesis now, but it was Vasa. Vasa had a nicer gym. I mean, it had newer equipment, right?
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful gym, but at the same time, like they underperformed. It's like they underperform because they don't have that humans driving behavior change, and that's what you have to have. And so
it's basically just a place that you walk into and you're on your own. Whereas Genesis is more people oriented.
When you walk into my gym, there's 6 trainers training 6 different people. The imagery that puts in a person's head when they walk in is like, okay,
you care about them.
I need a trainer because everybody else here has a trainer. And they're right. And we see the results. And like, granted, Vasa has like all the bodybuilders in town, or did, Woodlawn, Genesis now. They have like a lot of the big bodybuilders and big name guys that's here in town. But when you look at like general population, like those are the people that need the help, and they don't get that help there as much as they get it at where we're at, right? And hopefully that's going to flip now that Genesis is running it. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But what I don't want to do is like, because I work a lot. I mean, we're here at, what time is it? 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock or so, yeah.
I started today at 5 a.m. Yeah. So, I mean, I do anywhere
You didn't get off till 7 o'clock tonight,
7
right?
o'clock.
Yeah.
I do 10 to 14 sessions a day, Monday through Friday. And they're all an hour long. Friday, I do anywhere from 4 to 8. And then Sunday, it's like a flex day where sometimes I have clients, some days I don't, but it usually ends up being about 2 or 3.
What are you doing with each one of these clients? Different stuff? Do you have different plans for each one of them?
Every single person has a different plan.
Yeah.
Every single person has a different plan. So it's a lot of work on top of that too. because you have to program all of them at home. So Sunday nights, I'm working on my schedule, grinding out programs and stuff. And like total volume of like hours worked, it's probably 60 to 70. And there's probably some weeks where it's 80, and that's what I do. That's not what you have to do. Okay. So like,
how many days a week are these clients with you? Like if I'm your client, how many hours am I with you a week? Am I with you 1 hour, 5 days a week?
So I have 36 clients total on my roster right now. Their average training frequency comes out to 1.5 times a week. But I have one guy who trains 5 days a week. So it's a lot of people who train 3. I have some people who train 2, some who train 1, some every other week.
But they're expected to do things on their own still? Mm-hmm. You give them their plan, they go work out on their own?
Everybody's got a plan to make sure that because, generalized, like our bare minimum should be 3 days a week. We should all exercise 3 days a week at a bare minimum, right? Ideally more, but so it's programmed.
Is there ever an end goal? Like, I know with physical therapy, obviously, there's an end goal to get you back to a point where you can go out on your own and you're done. As with personal trainers like you, are your clients ever trying to work to a point where they can do everything by themselves, or do they want to stick with you forever?
So the goal is always to work out on your own eventually, right?
Okay.
And I'll be candid and I'll say that with you. There's people in the industry that don't feel that way. And so they'll, like, I remember when I first started, and I'm going to tell a story here, and this guy's not with us anymore. He's gone. But I was doing pretty good, and he told me, hey, you need to get some lifers. And I'm like, what the hell's a lifer, dude? Like, what does that mean? He's like, hey, like, you need someone who's going to train with you until they die. I'm like, dude, if anybody trains with me until they die, I suck at training. Like, I'm not that good, right? And so
you never got them to a point where they could.
Yeah, I'm big on education. And like, I want people to do this on their own. And so we'll taper off frequency for a lot of clients. Granted, a lot of clients like working with me, and I work with some high level athletes. I mean, I coach people that are competing. I coach a triathlete. I have some higher level athletes on my client roster too. So like for them, do they need a trainer? It depends how you look at it. If they're going to do a show or a competition, or they're going to run an Ironman, yeah, they need a trainer, they need a coach.
Yeah.
But so everyone has like their different things. Some people train with me because they like me. I mean, this is an honest.
They all have different goals on what they want to achieve.
Everybody's got different.
Some people
stuff.
just want to be healthy. Some people want to run a marathon.
Yeah, for sure. Some people want to spend an hour and talk with somebody. I mean, they won't admit that, but that's
they should come here then, because I have a podcast that does that.
Yeah, they can talk to you. But yeah, but they want to do it every week, man. You can't. They can do the same podcast.
They need to start a podcast then, like me.
That'd be good. They have to recruit people. They need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
So it's part of it.
Well, that's cool, man. That's interesting.
Yeah, you don't have to grind though. You don't have to do 100 days in a row. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You can make an insanely good living not. We have. We had a 19-year-old start in the last year and some change, and he'll make $60,000 probably 1 year from today, or maybe even 70, depending on how he performs.
Yeah. I
mean, that's the median income, which was $40,000 a year.
That's a great living, man.
$60,000 is
really
awesome,
good.
Really
good.
And we have people in the company making 120. That's part of it. And so, I'll say it openly. I'll do over 6 figures a year. I won't say the exact number, but it'll be over 100.
So this is year 2 for you, is that right?
Technically, I'm in year 3.
Technically, you're in year 3. You're 22 years old, and you're about to make 6 figures this year.
Mm-hmm. This will be the first year I do it.
That's huge for people out there that are listening.
Yeah, and it doesn't take. I mean, the math is simple. I mean, so a trainer at our company makes anywhere, and it's well above industry standard, which is phenomenal. So love Genesis for that. 40 to 65% is what we make. We're all commission based, so you don't have like an hourly rate or anything like that.
Yeah.
So right now I'm charging $100 a session. Okay. And that's kind of a newer price point for me. I was at 85 before that. Right.
So you set it up how you'd like to.
Yeah, we allow people to choose their own price point. Granted, you work with like our manager and kind of have a discussion about it to make sure that we're not like letting you do something that would kill your business.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that you're doing stuff that's appropriate and aligns up. Let's say that I'm charging $100 a session for all my clients, which isn't the case yet, but we're getting there. We're moving towards that. I get 65% of that, right? So that's $65 an hour. If I work 40 hours a week, that's $135,000 a year.
Yep.
It's straight up. I mean, it's that simple. The math's there. It's 40 hours a week. That's not bad at all. And it's doable in the Wichita market. For sure. I mean, you got to be talented, you got to be good, and you got to work hard out of the beginning. But I mean, any small business you start, you're going to work 60 hours a week, and you're not going to have the same return on investment, and you have overhead. I have zero overhead. The average business profit margin is 9%. We start out at 40, right? And then you have no overhead. So all you have to do is go. It's
how much freedom. How much freedom do you have though with your clients? Like, you're obviously obviously booked up and stuff. If you wanted to take a week vacation or something like that, how tied down are you?
Not
Not
at all. I took a 11-day trip to Belize this year. I got engaged.
No shit.
Yes, I got engaged while I was there. That was awesome.
Congrats, man.
Thank you. She's awesome. And so I did that. We have other trainers at the gym. They covered a lot of my clients. Some clients didn't want to work with another trainer, so they worked with me extra the week before and then worked with me right when I got back. But that's 11 days. I got PTO while I was gone because we offer PTO. You get health care. I mean, it's a phenomenal career.
Damn,
dude. It's so good. It blows my mind that people aren't willing to do it. I talk to people every day about it, dude. I'm always trying to get someone to come do it, and nobody wants to do it. I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Well, it's a little bit intimidating, though. I mean,
it's intimidating because there's no floor.
Requirements go, though, as far as requirements go, like, you have to be a fit individual yourself. Nobody's going to train with a fat son of a bitch.
You're crazy wrong.
You don't think?
Yeah, dude, you're crazy wrong.
Nobody's going to come train with me just drinking all day long, being fat, right?
I gotta be careful what I say. I don't know. There's a guy at our gym. Awesome dude. Love him to death. I'm not going to say his name. And he knows he's a little overweight, right? We have 2 trainers at our gym that are overweight, right? And one of them does pretty good. One of them was like our 4th trainer in the entire company like a year ago. And he's the bigger of the 2 individuals. One of them's a power lifter, so it makes sense. The other guy's not even a power lifter.
And he's not fit by any means.
I mean, he's fit, like he can run and stuff, and he works out all the time. And he's fitter right now than he probably was a year ago because he's been putting a lot of effort into
What if
stuff.
you don't work out at all? Can you be a personal trainer?
Yeah, we have a trainer there who doesn't work out at all. She's not.
Because part of this job, right? Like, people that might not want to do it because they're like, not only do I have to work out, which
I've had clients say that to me. They're like, I wouldn't work with that trainer that wasn't in shape. And that's fair, right? But it doesn't. It's
like, would you go to a doctor that's not in shape? A doctor that's very unhealthy?
Most doctors are unhealthy. I can't stand doctors. Most doctors are unhealthy.
Damn, dude, fired shots at everybody tonight.
Dude, I'll do what I have to do. The health industry is a joke, all right?
Let's say you're trying to get your health back. You know, you're trying to lower your blood pressure, get your triglycerides down. You show up and the doctor's just this fat, overweight dude sweating his ass off. You're gonna be like, I don't know, man.
Do you know how many nutritional classes a doctor takes?
No.
0. Do you know how many exercise classes a doctor takes? 0.
How many classes does a personal trainer take, though?
I got certified. I mean, I did study exercise science at Wichita State for 3 years. And then I am certified through NASM, which is National Academy of Sports Medicine, which is the original or first ever certification for personal training. There's a lot now.
And it's called NASA?
NASM.
Oh,
NASM.
Okay.
Yeah, and everyone's like, NASA? You're certified through NASA? God damn, dude.
God
like,
damn,
no,
dude.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm a fucking astronaut and a personal trainer and a bodybuilder.
So, I got a problem with college, too. I'll talk out on college.
A lot of people do. That's
needs
not
to be
rare.
Done. So this is the problem, and this is what I see from doctors. I see it from physical therapists, and I mean, I'm in the industry, so like I see it and I hear it, and I've gotten arguments with doctors. I get in arguments with physical therapists, and I'll go toe to toe with them all the day. Here's the thing: when you have a college degree to rely on, right, and you're a doctor, and it's Dr. Faulkner, right?
Yeah.
Does anybody question you?
No.
Not a single goddamn person. And you know who pays your bills? Insurance. The person doesn't pay you. You have no obligation to perform.
Pretty good gig.
When you're a physical therapist, I mean, granted, you could own a cash practice, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't, and they just get paid off of doctor referrals and insurance covering it, right?
Insurance pays for it.
You have zero obligation to perform. You're given a 12-week or 16-week window to work with this person, right? And insurance is paying for it the entire time. So you're paid no matter what. You can just do a shitty job. You don't have to do anything. You just watch them, take them through the exercise, and move on.
Yeah, but that's kind of necessary because people aren't coming to a physical therapist on their own terms usually. Usually it's prescribed or you're told that you need to do that.
You're correct. It's necessary, but it needs to be done well. But that's the thing about performance-based pay, right? And you're in performance-based pay in regards to this podcast, right? The better your podcast, the more you get paid.
Yeah.
You can't just show up and go through the motions every day.
Right.
A physical therapist can just show up and go through the motions. They're getting paid either way. Injuries get better over time, regardless. Give me 16 weeks with a broken arm. I bet my arm feels better. I don't need to go to physical therapy to do that. I could lay at home and it'll get better. Every injury gets better.
Yes.
But in terms of like actually creating like longevity around solving that injury, right, and restructuring and like building strength to make sure it doesn't happen again, you can't do that in 16 weeks anyways. It takes way longer than that.
You can form habits though to get it better than
Yeah, but you know how many people follow that? Like, so, okay, I've been to physical therapy. I threw my back out in like my junior year of high school.
Yeah.
Right? And so I go to physical therapy once a week for 4 weeks. 4 weeks is all I did, right?
Yeah.
4 weeks of physical therapy. She does some random ass stuff that, I don't know, she had me throwing a ball and stuff.
Was she hot?
No, God, no. Horrible, actually. I wish she would have been. That would have made it a better experience. But so I'm doing some random stuff. She gives me some generic paper that's just one sheet of paper, right? And then she's like, okay, do this at home. And I'm a hard worker, so I did it like every day, but it never fixed my back. I had to fix it later on when I learned more about how to fix it and I learned what the problem was. And so, I mean, nothing gets done in 4 weeks, and like the average person doesn't work out. So how are you going to get them to follow this paper when you only see them for 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 16 weeks? The average client works with me for probably 6 months to a year before they're ready to do anything on their, like to go off on their own.
Yeah.
Some longer than that, and some are never ready. I mean, that's just part of it. That's the truth of it. The goal is always to get them there, but some of them are never going to get there. They're not comfortable with the idea of weight training. And I train a girl who's 76. She's not going to come in and lift weights on her own. She doesn't feel comfortable doing that.
Well, what do you have to say to people, though, that have had great success with physical therapy? You know?
Well, there's always
a lot of them out there.
There's always going to be anomalies, right? But how does a person who's not involved in exercise quantify great success or clarify whether or not it's great success?
I think just feeling back to normal. Isn't that all physical therapy is really about? Is just to get you to a point where you feel like I'm me again.
Okay, the thing is that I would be willing to put money on the line that 75% of the people who go see a physical therapist would feel better in 16 weeks anyways. Truthfully.
You may not be wrong.
I
don't know anything
I'd be
about
shocked
this
if
shit,
I
so.
was. I'd be shocked because I see people after physical therapy and I'm fixing the problems the physical therapist didn't. I also, well,
that's a great business model to have then, right?
Yes. So I won't say too much about this, but we do have a physical therapist clinic that's attached to our club.
Yeah.
And they do come in sometimes with their patients and do some work with them. And all I'm going to say on it is that sometimes it's a little interesting. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not
saying, say whatever you want, dude. You can call them out. I don't give a fuck.
I know you don't.
I'm not going to necessarily agree with you, but you can say whatever you want.
I'm not worried about your opinion. I'm worried about the
I don't have an opinion. I know nothing about this shit.
Well, so I can't, like, again, they're like a part of our building. So like, if I were to like go out and be like, oh, they're like the worst people in the world and nobody should go there, right? And then I get in trouble on the back end for that or something. But
I get it.
And I'm not saying they're bad. I don't see everything they do, right? Yeah. I see when they come into my realm. I don't know what they're like in their realm. And in my realm, that's where I'm the pro and I'm watching them and I'm like, I don't know about that. But granted, you see trainers, that's the same thing. You see, I mean, any job or career you look at, there's always somebody who's just like, I don't know what they're doing. Like they're a little bit off the mark.
Right.
And then on the other side of that, it's like you have amazing trainers. And I mean, we have a lot of those, and which is cool. And so, I mean, there's always that. There's always anomalies. Granted, I don't think I could find fulfillment personally, or like I would perform at the level that I perform at if I didn't know that I had to earn it. My clients have to like renew. So like they'll buy, 12 sessions, and then let's say that lasts them a month. At the end of that month, if I'm not showing them progress and results, do you think they're going to buy another month?
No. And that's the difference,
That is the difference, because at the end of the day, like I have to perform in order to like actually get paid.
Yeah, right.
And if I'm on salary, then
you need to prove yourself, whereas a physical therapist doesn't need to do that.
No. And that's the other thing too, is like as soon as you go see a doctor, you assume the doctor knows. You assume the physical therapist knows, right? They don't assume that with me. Like there is a like
they test you.
I'm tested every day. There's like a full on like distrust out of the gate.
It's their own money out of their own pocket.
It's them paying cash out of the pocket, and it's an investment in their health. And so I mean, it's weird for people to do that at first. I mean, everybody feels uncomfortable at the beginning.
It's a huge first step, though.
I've never had a client be like, "Dude, I regret this." I've never had that.
Really?
Never. There's probably a couple that would say that, but I've never had anybody like genuinely just make no progress and be like, "Dude, I regret ever signing up for this."
Surely you've had people quit though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, people quit all the time. That's also
like,
part
fuck
of it.
this. I'm not made for this life.
And, I mean, so like, I am a big believer. I don't know have you ever read like Extreme Ownership with like Jocko Willink?
I haven't, no, but I've listened to some podcasts on that.
I mean, like just that like ideology as a whole, that like, okay, I'm gonna just take responsibility for everything, like to an unreasonable level. Right. They're like, no matter what in the world happens, like an asteroid hits the planet right now, somehow it's my fucking fault. Yeah. Like that's the way I choose to operate. because I've seen it on the other end of the spectrum with trainers where like it's so easy to rationalize why a client's leaving.
It's so easy to just push it off on other things or other people.
You blame something else, but you know it's your fault.
Yeah.
Right? And so like I'd rather just be on the extreme polar opposite end of that. So if a client quits training, somehow I fucked up. Like I did something wrong. Or they were ready. Or they were ready for it. And sometimes that's the case. It's rare. It's really rare that a client's truly ready to go off on their own. And there's always a drop off on efficiency. They're never gonna even if I worked with a trainer every single workout, I would be much better at working out. Truthfully.
Yeah.
And so I have trainers train me every now and then when I'm feeling like I need to jump up. If I'm competing, I always have a coach. I don't compete without a coach. I have the knowledge to do it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. Like, how many personal trainers actually use personal trainers?
Dude, you'd be so shocked. You'd be shocked. A lot of the times when we hire a new trainer, one of the first things they do is they sign up with a trainer.
Yeah. You
see it a lot. And it's a good thing for both of them because it's a learning opportunity because they're going to learn from that trainer how to train as well. But then they also get to chase their own fitness goals at the same time. When you look at the numbers, I was doing the math on this today. So let's say that you are really into fitness and you work out every day. So you do 365 days, right, of working out.
Yeah.
Okay. This year, by the end of the year, I will be around 2,500 training sessions. Okay. So in your 365 workouts, I've done 8 times that in 1 year, right? And so the amount of experience that I'm going to have, even over an individual who's working out every day, is ungodly. I'm getting 8 times as many reps in as long as I treat each one like a learning opportunity. I'm watching diligently.
You're not working out with them, though.
No.
You're talking about just being there for their workout and seeing it happen in front of you.
Yes. Every moment
gaining experience.
Yeah, 1,000%. You're still learning every single training session. Well, hopefully, right? Not everybody treats it that way, but I do. Every single moment is an opportunity where I'm going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And of course, every now and then I probably take some mental reps off. We all do that, right? But the more I can fight against that, the better. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be tenfolding everybody's experience when it comes to time in the weight room, right?
It's true.
So just time in the kitchen cooking and learning how to do this. And so, you can help anybody. I have some extremely high-level athletes that are ungodly fit that could teach they could be trainers tomorrow if they decided to be. The first girl I've ever actually had compete, because I've done a good amount of males, but I haven't done a lot of females because I was a little uncomfortable with it because it's kind of a different ball game. It's uncharted territory for me, and I don't want to put anybody on stage and then they suck and it's my fault, because that's a hard thing emotionally too. But I put a girl on stage recently, and she used to be a trainer with us. She signed up the first 7 people she talked to. She went 7 for 7, which is phenomenal. It's 100% closing rate, right? We are a commission-based business. There's closing rates. And so she was bound to be an amazing trainer had she continued to do it. She had another job that she was more committed to, so she actually stopped because she didn't have the time. But she's a great example of that. And she had a great show.
How many people would you say that you train do shows and do bodybuilding?
It's rare. It's little.
It's rare.
It's not a lot. I train a lot of general population.
Because when you said that, you were like, when I put people on stage, that made me think, are you doing a lot of people that do that? Or are a lot of them just average Joes?
Truthfully, training bodybuilders sucks. It's hard. There's way more work involved.
Well, yeah. If it sucks so bad for the person actually going through it, it's got to be terrible on the trainer.
Yeah, they're texting you all the time because they're your emotions get all sorts of crazy.
Yeah.
Because your hormones get so messed up, and so the hormone called ghrelin that gets released when you're hungry just makes you mad all the time, and then you get really insecure, and so you're dealing with that. You're feeling that
roid rage.
Wow. A lot of the time it's just ghrelin rage, so it's just hunger. And then you also have their programming is way more complex. The nutritional programming is way more complex, and it needs updated way more often, and you have check-ins and stuff. And a lot of people think I thought about training. I thought about being an athletic trainer, though. I just want to train athletes. Right? And I hear that a lot too from people that I talk to about training, especially young people.
Yeah.
That haven't.
They want to be involved in sports still.
They want to be involved in sports and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, listen, right? Training athletes can be incredibly boring because it's not what you're doing when you train somebody that makes it fun. It's the personality. 1,000% of the time, it's literally is this person fun or is this person not fun for me to be around? And that's the difference maker on whether or not I'm enjoying my session or not.
Really?
It has nothing to do with what we're doing. I could do anything. As long as they're a good time, it's a lot of fun. And I'm a people person, so I might be a little bit biased on that. But
yeah.
you can incorporate a lot of high level training. And I mean, I had a 74-year-old do 5 pull-ups the other day, like 5 body weight pull-ups. That's freaking awesome, right? That, you know how cool, that's way cooler than an athlete client? Jumping on a box. Yeah, no, I have the 76-year-old.
76-year-old.
I train an 81-year-old too. Richard is his name. He's a good dude.
That's badass.
Yeah,
love to see that.
He's a stud. I love that dude. He's a really nice guy, funny. And so like that session is fun, even though we're like just sitting on machines doing nothing. But he's funny, so it's a good time.
Yeah.
And they know so much more than you. Which I mean, I'm 22, so I'm young. And so anytime I talk to anybody, they know more than me, and I'm like pumped up because I'm like, I'm gonna learn so much.
They have
from
that
this
wisdom,
dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
When an 81-year-old talks, you sit there and listen.
Yeah, you just shut up and you're like, you're just mesmerized.
Right.
And so that part's fun too. And so to like the young people thinking about athletic training and stuff, like you got to explore all your options because personal training is a lot more lucrative than athletic training. It's an easier entry point. And I think it's a lot more fun. So, I mean, you have to try it out for sure. But some people just like immediately like, nah, I don't want to work with old people. I'm like, that's so selfish of you. What if you can help somebody, why would you not, right?
I think when they think of old people, they just have these, misconceptions in their head that they've heard of what it's like working with old people.
Yeah. Well, because you have people who work like in retirement homes and stuff.
Right.
That's a whole different ballgame.
That's a totally different
ballgame. When
you're seeing the bad side of it,
You're like the best part of their day when you're in the gym. I mean, they're thrilled when they come in there, and so you get a really good mood most of the time, right? And then they're like pumped to work out, and so it ends up being a high energy, fun time for them and for you. So it's good.
What's your opinion on steroids?
I don't really care. It's not really.
You don't care?
Like if people take them?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
What about people that compete?
It's part of it. It's every competitor. I mean,
every competitor uses steroids?
Not every. I'm gonna back that up. So there's natural federations and there's untested federations. The untested federations are the biggest federations in bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's part of it. It's part of the sport. It kind of is what it is. I think it's something that you could see die off one day, but
do you not stand a chance if you're not juicing?
Pretty much. That's the case. If you're competing in those untested federations, I mean, you have guys who, go pro naturally, and they get their pro card naturally.
Yeah.
But like the end all be all, like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, it's called the Mr. Olympia, and there's not a single competitor on that stage that's natural.
Mr. Olympia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I figured that they're all juicing, but I'm on the same page as you. Like I think let people do it.
It's
how fun sports would be if everybody could juice.
Because it's not like a combat sport. You're not hitting anybody. So
yeah,
it's
that would be different.
That would be different, right?
Yeah.
And like in football, that's a problem because like people could get hurt. In MMA, that's a problem. People get hurt.
In baseball, though, let them sling them, man.
Oh God, no. I think performance sports, it makes sense that it's out of the question. Bodybuilding's very subjective, which is really the downfall of sport, and that's why it's not as big as some of the other sports.
Yeah.
It's because it's not just, oh, I scored more points than you. It's like, well, I think he looks better. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a panel of judges, granted, but like it's a pageant. It's a giant pageant.
Yeah.
And so it's like winning the Miss America or something.
Are they actually bad for you? Like, what's the stigma?
Oh God, yeah, horrible.
They are
horrible. Bodybuilders keep dying at like 40. It's like it's getting younger. It's getting worse.
What do you think that's from, though? Is that from steroids, or is that from malnutrition or low body fat?
It's usually steroid abuse.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing's hard on you, but steroids are especially hard on you, and that's a decision that people make. That's not true technically.
They don't make your dick tiny?
Technically, your testicles would shrink, which then in theory would make it look bigger side by side.
The smaller the sack, the bigger the dick.
Technically, yes. Good God. We need help.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So
no, that's just, you hear about that all the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's prevalent in Wichita. It's here.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
But you're not a fan of using steroids in other sports like baseball or basketball? Or
I don't think it would be good. I don't. I mean, you have
people already have, though. You had Barry Bonds. That was fun to watch.
Well, that's true. That it did happen. In baseball, it's a big problem. But in basketball, I don't think it'd help you. It'd probably make it worse.
Probably not, yeah.
It'd probably make it a worse situation.
Football would be a problem. MMA would be a problem.
MMA would be a big problem. People would get hurt, and that's the hard part of it. And then, I think if bodybuilding ever wants to become mainstream, it's probably gonna have to get rid of it. Truthfully, like for bodybuilding to really, really, really blow up, it might have to get rid of it. Now the problem is that like natural competitors look the same. They all look the same. There's not a huge difference, and they don't look as freaky as the guys on stuff, like not even close. So it could get boring. Bodybuilding,
I don't think it. I mean, just from hearing you talk about it, I don't think it would ever be as popular as something like football or baseball, just because it's so hard on your body. For one, people that are listening to this right now, know that already. They know how terrible it is on you, how shitty you feel, how hard it is to do.
Yeah, it's not good.
Versus somebody that can just run really fast and go to the Olympics or play football or really tall.
I mean, it's boring. It's boring.
It's not exciting.
It's like 5 minutes of somebody on stage, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then it's not like there's like a game every week.
Right.
I mean, there's shows constantly, but like it's not like you're seeing people like go toe to toe where it's like one person could win. It's just different. It's really different.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that having that physique, like you said, doesn't equate to being
healthy.
Healthy.
I think the CrossFit games are a lot more entertaining. And I'm gonna get a lot of flack for saying that. A lot of people out there hate CrossFit, and I'm gonna go out there on a limb.
You like CrossFit?
No, okay, I didn't say that. The idea of CrossFit makes a lot of logical sense, right? The idea of what it's supposed to mean. If we look at like how do you truthfully measure health, I can't even remember the equation, but I mean it had to be like movement of weight over time.
It's a balance of a lot of things,
right? And so. I mean, it's like a 3-dimensional. We have it all tracked. I need to pull it up. I have to see it. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Let me pull this up.
Do whatever you want, man.
Let me see if I can find it. If I can find it, we call it inflate the curve. We talk about it at our club. Let's see if he has a definition on here. No, he doesn't. Well, it was a good idea. But yeah, I mean, CrossFit makes sense because the intention is to be all-encompassing. So like you have cardio involved, you have strength involved, you have... I mean, their physiques are ridiculous because the amount of training they do. Those guys work out like 4 to 6 hours a day. Yeah. They do like 4 workouts a day. They make bodybuilders look like jokes, to be honest.
And they look the opposite of a bodybuilder, They look
some of them look fantastic. Those guys are jacked, dude. In person, those guys are massive.
There's a lot of soccer moms that do CrossFit too.
Well, that was the problem with CrossFit,
right?
Is that CrossFit got way too popular, way too fast, and so you had bad coaches infiltrate, and so bad coaches were teaching people how to do it, and they were getting them hurt, and that was the big problem. Is that it got big too fast, and then the owner came out and said
it became
some racist
trendy
stuff. Or the creator said some racist stuff, and that was bad. Yeah, it became trendy.
It got too trendy. Anything that gets that way.
You always have those bad cases and stuff, and now they're all on gym fails and stuff. But like,
right.
And I still think kip ups are horse shit. I'll just come out and say it.
Oh yeah,
I hate that. That's so stupid. Just do a pull up. Do a pull up. Somebody told me kip ups were harder the other day. Like that doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, that's somebody that's never done a pull up.
No, he's done. I'm not even gonna say that. I'm not gonna go into it. But yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Let me ask you this: what's the most important thing for somebody that wants to get healthier? Is it their diet? Is it their fitness? What is it?
Workout frequency.
Workout frequency.
Workout frequency. Just showing up.
More so than your diet.
More than anything.
More than anything.
A lot of people are like, "Oh, dude, diet's 90% of it." No, it's not. No, it's not. From an actual health perspective, for the general population, what I see the most is that lean body mass is way too low. Okay, because we're not active enough. And so lean body mass, just so you know. Okay, so like you're familiar with body fat percentage?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
mine is really high.
If you're not familiar with body fat percentage, right? Let's just draw like the average individual. So let's say that you're 200 pounds and you're 30% body fat, right? And so what does that equate to? Gosh, now I got to do math. Let's say you're 25% body fat, right? And so that's 50 pounds of fat tissue.
Which is still pushing obese.
Yeah.
I think obese is like 27 or
8. For sure. Really close, right? It's not healthy. 25% if you're a man, you should be 15 or less, right? So like let's say that you're 25%, you're 200 pounds, that's 50 pounds of fat tissue. So we do 200 minus 50, your lean body mass is 150 pounds, okay? So if we take your lean body mass, we multiply that by 13.8, that's a constant, okay? That gives us your estimated BMR, okay? Your BMR is your metabolism, okay? Your basal metabolic rate. Mm-hmm. So how many calories do you burn just on your own, naturally, right?
Hopefully more than 2,000.
Hopefully more than 2,000, right? But a lot of times, I mean, if we just run those numbers, I don't think it is. What's 150 times 13.8? No, it's just barely. 2,070.
2,070, yep.
Okay? The average American eats a hell of a lot more than 2,070 calories a day.
2,070 is a Big Mac meal from McDonald's with a large Coke and fries.
Yeah, you are exactly right. That is really easy to hit. Okay? Most people are doing, 3,000 a day at least.
Easily.
So
most people are doing 1,000 for breakfast because they're getting a caramel frappe from Starbucks with a cinnamon roll, and they're like,
those Starbucks. If you get a big one, they have like 1,000 calories in it.
Dude,
Just
it's
as a
insane.
drink. And
It's a milkshake.
How full are you after drinking that? You're not.
One of my biggest things right now that I talk shit on is this new Dutch Bros coffee place that's in town.
God, it's so bad.
And everybody says they're getting their morning coffee. You're getting a morning milkshake. You're getting something that's almost all milk with added sugars and flavors, cream on top, and there might be a little bit of coffee in there.
I couldn't even drink it. My fiance made me get one. It was so gross.
They taste like shit.
They taste so sweet. I'm getting old.
It's a milkshake.
I don't like sweet
that's all
food
it is.
anymore.
Yeah,
I know. It's so bad. So
anyways.
Yeah, I mean, workout frequency. So like, everyone's like, okay, Tiger, how do you eat all the food? Because when I was growing up, I was not the kid who could eat whatever he wanted and stay in shape. Right now, I can kind of eat what I want, and I'm good. You know, for
because
the
of
most
your
part.
physical activity.
Well, I do about 15,000 steps a day, 14,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
Right, which is a lot. Right, and then on top of that, my lean body mass is higher. Right, and so if you can increase your lean body mass, and this is where a lot of people go wrong, is they'll lose weight. Like, we don't have a weight loss problem in America; we have a weight gain problem because people lose weight all the time. You follow like keto and do a bunch of cardio, your lean body mass goes down with it, which makes your metabolism slow down.
Yeah.
But if you're weight training while you do it, right, your lean body mass stays up a little bit, and then suddenly, right, you don't gain all that weight back because your metabolism is faster, so you can go back to eating.
And you're
relatively
burning a lot
normal.
more calories.
Exactly, and so the biggest issue is people don't come to the gym enough. If we can get that fixed, that's going to be a big game changer for people. Nutrition's a huge part. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's super important.
Yeah.
But if you're not working out, what's the point anyways?
I've seen this firsthand, though, because people that get a little chubby like me, get a little bit of a beer belly or whatever, you want to lose 10 pounds here and there. And I did all these things. You know, I've done intermittent fasting. I've done keto, whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. And those things do work somewhat, but you're never going to look good. And you don't look good until you start physically lifting heavy shit because
you got to build something.
The amount of
it.
calories you're still burning. Like when I would go and do squats, you know, I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder like you. I'm not trying to look ripped. I'm trying to lose weight and just look better. And when you do squats or you do dumbbell press or whatever it might be, those muscles are going to continue to burn calories after the fact. And that is so essential for people that are trying to lose weight and just look better.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right. And then so like we always say, like our needs vary by degree, not by kind.
Yeah.
And so like even though I'm a bodybuilder, right, and so I might train like hard, you should train the exact same way. Your capacity to train the way that I train is not there. You won't train as hard as I train. That's fine. The closer you can get to that though, because like what's the goal of a bodybuilder, right? I want to increase my lean body mass, right? So increase my muscle mass and decrease my fat tissue. What's the goal of a general person?
Look better.
Lose fat tissue, increase lean body mass. Look better. That's what that is. You lose fat tissue, increase your lean body mass, add some muscle mass, add
That's
tone,
how you look better.
Right? And suddenly you look better, right? The lines that you see on these people on like Instagram and everything, it's from muscle mass. It's not just that they just have lines randomly because they're skinny.
No.
They have muscles underneath their skin, and that gives them those lines. And so we have the exact same goal. Why would we train differently? Right?
That's a good point.
The training's the exact same. Okay, it's just that you might need it more or need it differently or applied differently depending on like what other issues we're dealing with along the way. But regardless, we all need the same thing, right? We all need that stimulus of a heavy load or some sort of load, right, to increase lean body mass. Okay, and it only gets more important when people get older, because then you got bone density that comes into the equation.
Yeah,
now, that's a massive problem.
That's
too.
a big one. You can only increase that with weight training.
It's literally the only way.
You can't do it with
spinal
cardio.
Loading. Technically, you will see like a return for people that are like completely deconditioned out of their mind for like the first 8 weeks. And usually we don't tell people this or talk about this because long term it doesn't do enough. But like in the first 8 weeks of training, if you're completely ill trained or not trained at all, you could literally do cardio and your lean body mass will come up.
I could see that though. Yeah, I could.
If
see
you're
that.
like if you're an elderly,
there's still an impact there.
There's still more.
There's still stuff going on. It's just way less.
It's just way less, and then the diminished returns are massive. So
let me guess, you're not a big cardio fan.
I don't do a lot myself. I program it if it applies, but
when would it apply though? If you have heart problems or high blood pressure.
All those reasons.
Cardiovascular
technically,
problems.
like if your cardiovascular scoring is really low, so we use like a VO2 max is what we measure, which is like your max cardiac output. If it's too low, your recovery, even between like reps on a set, could cause you to not be able to train hard enough or train well enough to have an increase on lean body mass. So you could wreck your lifting stimulus if you're like actually out of shape. And you could lift faster and boost it enough to where you're not running into that problem.
Yeah.
But I think cardio is worthwhile. I think people should do it. I think it's good for your heart health. And a lot of young people can get away with not doing it, but that doesn't last forever. I realize at some point I'm going to have to start doing a lot more.
Yeah.
And then if you want to do anything, like if you want to truly like go out and do something crazy, like we climbed as a group, our trainers went out to Colorado a couple weeks ago and climbed Pikes Peak. That was brutal, dude.
It's crazy.
That was horrible.
That puts people to the test too. I've done that several times now, and when you're with people, it's interesting to see these people that are very physically active, people that aren't physically active, how they're put to the test. And sometimes people do better or they do worse than you would expect.
Well, that's
when you're up there in the mountains,
because you can look fit and be out of shape.
Right.
People look fit and are out of shape all the time.
Which is crazy, and that's still
example.
a misconception people have, is they see a bodybuilder, and not to talk shit, and they think that guy is the most fit person on planet Earth.
Not even close.
It's not.
No.
Because if you put that dude against somebody that's just very fit, all around, they don't look it necessarily.
Yeah, well, that's why we use that area under the curve or the stuff I was talking about when it's like weight over time. Basically, like the way this graph ends up like laying out is so like on one end of the spectrum, right, going really high up, like let's say the left side or the y-axis, you have like your long distance runners. Okay, so their distance and their time under load, which is like their body weight, is extremely long, right? Yeah. I mean, let's say you're running marathons. And so you'll see some like area underneath that line, okay, because it makes like a parabola. You'll see some area underneath that line, right? And as you get closer to the middle, you might have something like deadlift for reps. So like, let's say it's deadlift for like reps of 15, right? Now, it's let's say that set lasts you a minute and a half, right? So your time is still is really short compared to the marathon, right? But you're doing 15 reps, so a minute and a half is like decently long. And then you're moving a lot of weight, right? And so you could have like a higher area under the curve for that, and that'd be closer to like where the meeting point is, right? But then on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have like powerlifting, where it's like, okay, I can lift 500 pounds and it takes me 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
That's a very short amount of time, but a massive amount of load.
Yeah.
And so our goal is to like increase the area underneath that curve. So we want to be all encompassing and master both of those things. But a lot of the times the runners are way more fit, truthfully. And I'm not a runner.
The thing is, though, and I've read into this a little bit. I'm not a doctor, so don't quote me on this, but there's a point where running can be excessive and it can be detrimental if you do it too much.
I don't think it serves anybody on the planet to believe that.
To believe what?
To believe that that's true. Like, is that true? Yes. Anything to an extreme.
That running can be detrimental to you?
99.9% of people do not have the capacity to work that hard.
True.
So then it doesn't matter. It doesn't serve, like...
I would agree, but
like,
it's not. It still makes it true that it can be detrimental when you get to a certain level.
Yes, but don't tell people that, because then it's just an excuse. It's another thing you can chalk up on the board as to like, I shouldn't do too much. I don't want to...
Well, we shouldn't hide facts, though. I mean, people need to sort through them themselves.
It's like rhabdomyolysis. Do you know what rhabdo is?
No.
Okay, so like in CrossFit, this is a big thing. They have like the rhabdo clown, right? And so rhabdomyolysis, and sometimes it happens to bodybuilders late in show prep when they're getting really lean because their body doesn't recover well. Basically, it's like extreme like muscle breakdown, and eventually your kidneys fail, right? Because your body can't recover to the amount of like micro tears and everything.
Yeah.
When you look at rhabdo, the amount of muscle breakdown is literally similar to what they see in people who have been hit by a semi. So it's kind of interesting, right? And people die from rhabdo. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
And like you end up like peeing like dark. It's like brown. Crazy. Okay. I would like sometimes.
You don't want to tell people that because you're afraid that they'll be discouraged from working.
I've had it get brought up before, and like sometimes like a trainer will bring it up, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, well, what are you think they could get rhabdo? Like they're really so." I'm like, dude, no
way.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Like you just have to completely act like it's not a thing because the likelihood is less than 1% probably. Okay, most people are so far away from working that hard and so detached from what that would take that it's like not worth them knowing it's real. So like here's the deal, right? You're right? We shouldn't hide facts.
I don't think we should hide facts, though. I mean, on the opposite end of the spectrum there, if you told people that cigarettes were, if you just said, it's fine, just smoke as much as you want, because it's rare that you're going to get lung cancer from cigarettes.
But it's not rare that you get lung cancer.
It is, yeah. It's a low percentage.
How rare is that?
It's a low percentage.
Smoking cigarettes is increased in an all-cause mortality risk of 60%. By smoking cigarettes, you're 60% more likely to die.
Sure.
That is not the case with working out.
But hear me out here. Less than like 10%, or I want to say around there, get lung cancer from smoking cigarettes their whole life, right? So you're still very
There's other issues than lung cancer.
Sure. But you're I mean, even those issues though, you're pretty likely to come out scot-free.
You're 60% more likely to die though. You're increasing your risk of death by 60% if you smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a chronic illness from smoking, directly related to smoking. So your overall mortality might decrease, but as far as something goes like terminal cancer, your chances are still small. you're increasing them
They're
dramatically
like,
by smoking.
okay, but if you compare them to the chances of getting rhabdo, it's probably like a 10x. Like you're probably 10 times more likely to get lung cancer from smoking than you are to get rhabdo from working out. It's probably more. It's probably 100x. And so like,
but we should always throw out the facts and let people sort them out on their own. You know, you shouldn't hide the fact that somebody can overwork themselves.
and I'm not saying hide it. What I'm saying is diminish the thought of it, right? So like, I mean,
Make them understand that it's very unlikely.
The whole like it doesn't serve me or it serves me to believe X, right? Is like something that I use a lot, right? And so like you know who Jordan Peterson is? Surely, right?
Yep.
Jordan Peterson used to frequently say like, and he's recently changed his like stance, but he'd say like it serves me to act as if God's real. Right. And lately he's came out and said like that he's a Christian and he believes in God.
Right.
But for a while there, he wouldn't do it. But he'd always say it serves me to believe that God's real, right? Because I mean, what does that create for me? Well, if I believe God's real, right, then I live by like a certain set of morals and behaviors, and that leads me to being a better person and a better product for society. Right. Fair enough. Right. And so it's that same thing where it's like there's certain things that like it doesn't serve my client. Like I will help them less if I allow them to believe they could get rhabdo. If I tell them, look, there's absolutely no chance you get rhabdo, like if you get rhabdo, I'll jump off the building, right? They're more likely to work hard. They're more likely to make results. They're going to live longer because of that. So like, it's not me hiding the facts as much as it is like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to deliver to you in order to get you in the best shape possible and help you the absolute most. We run into this problem, like this is not often, but like I do work in a commission-based job, right? So like it's a sales job. Like you are selling yourself and selling the product. And I mean, it's weird because you're selling like a health product, but you are selling. And some trainers are uncomfortable with that. And I know I was when I first started. It was like, I'm not like a salesman. I just want to help people, right? And so you get in the industry to help people, not to sell people, right?
Sure.
The truth of the matter is if you don't sell them, you will not help them. I mean, we have the numbers where 82% of gym members don't use a gym twice a week or more after the first 2 months. So that means they have
got to make them believe
they have an 18% chance of success.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't even want to see what that timeline looks like in a year. It's probably 1% of people still use a gym, right? And we all know that 1% of people actually go to the gym, probably 1%, right? And so if I can make that sale, right, and increase their likelihood of success in using the gym, and I can add 10 years to their life, right, then it's like I am morally obligated to make the sale.
Right.
If I don't make the sale, I'm a bad human being because I'm going to let that person die. Granted, if you are not a great trainer yet, right, it's going to be hard for you to believe that because you don't believe you can help somebody yet.
Right.
If you just started, you might not believe the impact you can make, but the impact is massive. And so, like, I don't care what it takes. Like, I'm going to get this person to sign up because I know if I don't, I'm not going to see them in a month. And that's the other thing is, like, I've seen it, and I've only been in business 3 years, and I'm sure we have trainers who have been there for 16 years, and I'm sure they've seen it multiple times where somebody will come in, like retired recently or, you know, and they want to get healthier because they don't want to retire and die. I've had a guy say this to me, and he said, like, I don't want to retire and die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I get
That's
what you're
a big problem.
He's like, all my friends, all my old coworkers, every time they retired, they said they were going to do all this crazy stuff. They were so excited and they died. He's like, I don't want to retire and die.
That's a real thing. It's weird.
Yeah. And so this guy, he's like, all right, I'm going to train, right? And so we get him all signed up and everything. And
he dies.
Well, so he trains for a little bit and he stops coming. And I'm texting him every day. I'm like, dude, come on. You told me, you got to come in. You got to come in. You got to come in. And he was really pretty bad off, right? And he died. I'm just fucking around. He didn't die. But like, what if he did? Because the truth is that happens. Like, ex-clients have died before. I've had like people who were like in my pipeline. They weren't clients, but people in my pipeline, like that I've worked with, like, and I've seen and talked to one-on-one that I didn't close the sale on, and they've died before. That happens, right?
And like you said earlier in the podcast, you take things very personally. So
I do. And so, like, let's say that person spends, let's say they train with me for a year, twice a week, right? So that costs them $800 a month. What's that come out to? Let's do some math. I know 800 times 12, Tiger, you should know that. So let's say it costs them 10 grand, right? So let's say it costs them 10 grand, but they add 2 years to their life. Is that worth it?
Mm-hmm.
That's worth it already?
Yeah.
Right?
I would say so.
That's phenomenal, right? You spend 10 grand, you add 2 years to your lifetime, right? Okay, let's look at total hours too, because this is where it gets really cool. So they train with me twice a week for an hour. So that's 8 sessions a month times 12 months. So I could 96 hours. So if they work with me for 96 hours, right? So that's 1 year, twice a week, 96 hours. They put in 96 hours, and they get 2 years back on their life. That's 24 hours times 365 times 2. So they get 17,520 hours back for putting in 19 hours.
It's huge.
Or 90 hours. So let's say that you invest in the stock market $96, okay? You invest $96 in the stock market today. 1 year from the day, you get $17,500 back.
It's a great return.
There's no return on the
Massive
stock
return.
market like that. There's nothing like that.
Only if you invested in Dogecoin the year it blew up.
I don't even know if Dogecoin would catch that. I don't think Bitcoin's catching that. That is the best investment you can make for your time.
And it's the most valuable asset on planet Earth.
I tell you what, all the time, like I tell clients this, so the only time you're actually like living, right? Because technically we're all dying. Like me and you right now, we're dying.
Everybody's
right?
dying.
We're getting closer to death, right?
Yeah.
The one time in your life you're not dying, you know what you're doing? You're exercising. That's the only time. Let's say that I work out for 1 hour and that adds 2 hours back to my life.
Yeah.
Right? Let's say that were the case. Technically, for that hour I just worked out, I lived because I added 2 hours to my time. Right?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
it's
only
not as
time
black
you're
and white
not
as that.
dying, and then you can make it black and white. The only time you're not dying is when you're exercising. That's the only time you get a return on the time you're spending. You know?
Some people say laughter would add time to your life, you know?
Yeah, but is that bullshit or is that real? I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe that's real.
I don't know anything, man.
Maybe.
I don't even know if what you're saying is real.
I'm
you know?
so full of shit.
I'm just here to listen. But it does make sense.
You can tell I'm passionate about this.
I
get
can,
fired
dude.
up.
I
Dude.
love it, dude. That's great.
I've seen it, and
It's a beautiful thing to see somebody as passionate as you are about what they do.
Dude, I get
you
fired
actually
up.
care about this.
Yeah, more than anything.
You know?
There's nothing else I'll ever do.
You're not just trying to make a lot of money. You're actually trying to make this a movement. You're trying to change people's lives.
Yeah. I'm really the goal right now. I'm really trying to get out into a lot of schools, and I'm lucky I have some teachers and stuff. And I've spoken at a school before, and it was just about like training in general and exercise, and like it was more about exercise. And I realized that was a huge missed opportunity because our big limiting factor right now, when I look at like my gym that I work at, is we don't have enough trainers. It has nothing to do with like, oh, people don't want to spend the money.
There's a trainer shortage right now.
We don't have enough trainers. We just need more people to work, and they're scared. And I get it because there's zero floor, right? I mean, you could make nothing if you don't train anybody. But like, there's so many people that need help. I mean, it's not that hard.
Well, if you're not gonna make nothing if you're trying.
If you're
right?
if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you'll be fine. I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
People are too comfortable with jobs now where you don't have to do shit and you can still make money.
Oh, I mean, I told you how much I was gonna make.
Yeah.
Right? I had no experience when I started.
Yeah.
Other than working out by myself, and I did it in 3 years. Right. My second like full year, I made $85,000. Right.
This is from somebody though that's willing to work 100 days in a row
whoa,
consecutively.
Whoa. That's true. Right?
What about a normal person that wants to work 5 days a week?
If you want to work 5 days, I mean, we ran the numbers. Okay, they would take you a little bit longer to get to that point. Right. It might take 3 years, 4 years, whatever.
But you could still be making six figures and
yeah. I mean, I could do
years.
if you could do 40 hours, charging $100 a session, getting 65% back. Okay, that's $136,000 a year, working 40 hours a week. The only reason I know that is because that's the goal. I mean, that's where I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to continue to work the way that I am. I'm engaged. I want to go home sometimes and spend time there.
Right.
And so I want to make enough to support her and support us in the way that we want to live and do the things we want to do. And at the same time, it's a balance. And I get not wanting to work 60 hours. And I say I'm going to work 40 hours, but all the people who know me know I'm still going to do 50 or 60 because I can't stop.
You got to take your own advice here, man, and gain those hours back, gain that time back.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because if you're working, if you're spending all of your time on planet Earth working, you're losing time, right?
Yeah, well, dude, I party hard too, though. I mean, like Belize was 11 days. I mean, that's out of the country at 22 years old. First time I had ever left the country. That was phenomenal.
That's fucking awesome, man. That's a cool place.
That was so sick. If you're thinking about vacations,
do it.
Belize is wild. If you're a big doer, I mean, we did a lot of stuff. We were like in the jungle for like 5 days.
No shit.
Going through like caves and stuff.
That's badass.
Have you heard about Belize at all?
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know that place
Belize.
was a country until a year ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. And then they have.
What made you go there?
Oh, so one of my clients recommended it, and then literally 6 weeks later, the girl that I had do her first show, she started training with me originally because she was going to Belize, and so she went and she didn't go into the jungle, but she had a good time, and I was like, okay, I'm looking into it. I knew I was going to propose over the summer, and I knew we were going to take a trip. I just didn't know where yet, and I wanted to leave the country, and so I looked at Belize, and like there's so much shit you can do. And like I'm not like a just sit there and do nothing on vacation type of guy.
Yeah.
I can do like 2 days doing that, and then I'm like, dude, we gotta go. We gotta go do something.
We gotta go do
you know?
some stuff.
So
there's a whole world to see.
we went through ATM Cave, which is National Geographic's most sacred cave on the planet. There's 14 human sacrifices there. There's like a full skeleton of a human there, and we got to see that in the cave.
Damn.
That's so sick, dude. It was awesome. We tubed through a cave. So there's like caves that are halfway filled with water, and you ride on a tube and you kind of go through it.
Oh,
it's not
dope.
like rough. It's just like relaxing, but it's really pretty and stuff. We did that. We rode horses. We zip line. I mean, anything you could have wanted to do, there was a way to do it. And then we went out to a beach on the back half of the trip for the last like 6 days. And so there's a ton to do there. It's really cool.
That's dope, man.
I will
Congrats on all
probably
that.
going back at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now we got different plans. I'm hoping Indonesia after the wedding.
I got a question for you.
Let's go.
Liver King.
Oh God.
Liver King is this new internet sensation, right?
I know him.
You know about him.
I know about him. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your opinion?
I mean, it's a gig. It's just like anything. It's just marketing.
Is it?
It's marketing.
Do you believe in his lifestyle, though? The tenets that he has, the 9 ancestral tenets?
I don't give a shit.
Do you think he's juicing?
Probably. I mean, the guy has insane genetics. He looked great when he was young, but
Yeah.
I mean, you don't look like that.
Dude,
So
not very strong opinions on Liver
If
King.
you offered me $5 million right now, I would put almost anything in my butt cheeks.
$5 million?
Like all these actors and stuff, most of them are juicing.
Yeah.
Most of like the superhero actors and everything. But you know how much money they're being paid? Of course they are. And look at Liver King's
wouldn't you?
house and his lifestyle and where he's traveling, what he's doing.
That's the weird thing about him, though, is that he had all of that stuff before he became this internet sensation.
He had a good amount of it.
He didn't start.
He wasn't
You know,
traveling
he didn't
like
have a
is
social
now.
media presence until like a year ago. He was
Yeah, it's
already
true.
loaded.
He already had a decent house and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he didn't have what he has now.
He claims that he's been living this way for like 15 years.
He might be eating raw food for 15 years, but he did not have that house for 15 years. There's no way.
He might.
I think he was doing something else before, though.
He
The
was.
dude
He
had to
owns
been
multiple companies and shit.
Well,
so.
Jesus, there it is.
Yeah.
That's
But I
your-
mean, I'm talking like the things that he preaches, the stuff that he says to people, like these
do I
tenets that
think
he
we need
has.
to eat raw meat or anything?
Do you think that? Yeah. Do you recommend his lifestyle as far as like eating raw liver,
No.
cutting out most carbs, lifting heavy shit all the time?
Anything that encourages people to exercise, I'm going to advocate for.
Yeah.
But like, you probably don't need to do that.
You don't
probably
need
People love that like niche stuff though that makes them look different. Like
Yeah.
that's the big thing. It's like they just want to see. Like I want to do what other people aren't doing. You know, because like I want to be different.
Yeah.
And I get that. We all fall into that. And like I'm the same way where it's like the way that I work, I'm very proud of the fact that I don't think anybody else works as hard as I do. People do. Like I know people. You know who David Goggins is?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that guy.
That guy's a fucking machine.
He makes me look like a joke, right?
He makes everybody look like a joke.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody could stand up to him.
Nobody. But like I like to act like, you know what I'm saying?
to act
Like
like
we
him.
all want to be like the guy who works as hard as possible, or like the guy who does X, Y, and Z. But it's like you don't need to do all that.
No, you don't.
Just like I don't need to work the hours I'm working. Large part of the reason I'm working the way I'm working is because we do like a trainer of the year. I told you I was it last year. I got first place, and like that competition ends here at the end of November. And so there's some guys in Kansas City that do really well. And it's a bigger market, but they're hard workers and stuff. And so like right now, that's a large reason I'm working the way I'm working because it's neck and neck, and
Yeah.
I can't lose, dude.
It's
I
a
get
competition.
mad. I don't want to. That's been like my fix because I'm not competing really anymore. So that's been like my competitive fix, and then I play a little bit of baseball in the summer now. But yeah, so like I can't lose that. So that's like always what I'm trying to focus on right now. Which I mean, that's fun. My clients get behind it and they get all excited and they help me out too. So
They support you and
pretty
shit.
cool. Yeah, they get pumped up. So they help out a lot. That's nice.
Badass. That's badass, man.
That's the cool thing. We did this thing recently a couple weeks ago where I had, because I have a couple, it's probably like 6 trainers under me that I coach a little bit. And we did these report cards. So I was like, hey, you're going to give these all your clients and have them fill it out like anonymously, or not anonymously, like without you there, but like have them put their name on it and just turn it in. And so like we're reading through these report cards and we're just getting like an insane amount of like positive compliments and like talking about all the progress they've made and stuff. And like you read through that and like, dude, you feel like you're on cloud 9.
Yeah.
Like, you have impacted these people
It's like
so
a
much.
drug.
It's so amazing. And like if you ever had any reservations about like, well, I'm charging them this much, right? You read through that, they don't care. They love it. They're making they
That
just
makes it
feel
all
so
worth it,
much
probably.
better. They feel so
Yeah.
much better. It's like, of course they don't talk about the investment. Like, look how much better they feel. Like half the time, like as trainers, we put that in our head that like, oh no, I'm a little worried. They're paying this much a month. They love it, dude. They
Yeah.
love it. They truly do. I mean, it's super cool to see that. And at the same time, sometimes you get some like negative feedback and it's like, oh shit, I need to step my stuff up. And that's good too. It's always good to have that.
Helps you improve yourself if you look at it that way.
Yeah. So like halfway through it, my clients were being way too nice. So I started telling them like, look, be as mean as you can be.
You need
Like,
to tell me some
you
shit.
think of
Yeah.
anything in the world that I'm doing wrong, you write it down.
You
Like,
tell me.
please, like rip me a new one. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna get in trouble for this. It's just gonna help me out. And so they started giving me a little bit more criticism and stuff, and that was helpful too. But still, reading those and stuff is, I mean, it's awesome.
Makes it all worth it.
Testimonials. Yeah. And you see people lose weight and like their whole life changes and they're way happier. And like it's the same experience I went through. I mean, I had an eating disorder. I was overweight in high school. And then like because of that, I was a very spiteful and mean person in high school. And like that's still my rep. Like that's the people from high school still think I'm that guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you fat?
I was overweight. I don't want to say that I was fat because I get weary when I say words like that, because I don't want, like, if somebody's bigger than me and then they see the way that I looked, like, oh, you're not fat, right? And so I don't want to say that because I don't want to put labels on anything.
What was your eating disorder, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was bulimic for a little bit.
Really?
My first girlfriend ever, right? It's always the hardest one. Hope to God she doesn't watch this. She broke up with me, and in my head it was like, oh, it's just because you quit working out. Because I was working out and I got in shape and I started looking better, and I still hadn't gotten abs yet. That was
the biggest thing.
When you're in high school, man, you gotta have abs.
You gotta have those abs.
And so I started dating this girl, and like that was one of the main reasons I worked out. Was like I told myself, in high school you're gonna be like a stud. You're gonna have a hot girlfriend. You're gonna be like big man on campus. You're gonna be best athlete. All the girls are gonna want you. And I didn't have any of that. And so I started working out a lot. And I got a girlfriend, and she was pretty. She was everything, right? Because it's my first girlfriend, so I'm just thrilled. And so I quit working out. I was like, I don't need that shit anymore. I already freaking
I got it.
I'm done, baby.
I'm there.
Let's go. And so we broke up. And like I was like a sophomore in high school or something, I think. So I was still young. And so for like 2 months after that, I was like, I'm not eating a damn thing. If I eat, dude, I'd like convinced myself that I was getting sick. You don't get sick for 2 months and throw up right after you eat, dude. But I was like, no, something's wrong. I'm sick, whatever. And so I just kept throwing up.
Oh, so you weren't forcing the finger down the throat. You were just like making yourself like nauseous.
No, a lot of the times people aren't putting fingers down the throat. They like legitimately like it's placebo.
You just make yourself believe that you're getting sick.
I fully thought I was sick I didn't realize I had an eating disorder until like 2-3 years later.
That's crazy. I've never thought of that.
It was wild. It was a wild
When
experience.
I hear bulimia, I think of somebody like shoving their finger down their throat,
Yeah, I mean typically, but no, I fully had like convinced myself in my mind that I was sick.
Wow.
And so because if I ate healthy food, I was fine. It was when I ate bad food, all of a sudden I had to throw up. And I still struggle with that a lot when I compete. And that's another thing that's like, I don't know if I want to do that. Because
you don't just go pig out sometimes on like a greasy cheeseburger?
I do now. Now it's fine. But when I have the added pressure of a show with a diet,
freaks you
like
out.
a timeline, it freaks me out. And so I struggle a lot. And so then like I'll eat bad food like on a one-off, and then I'll immediately just go throw up. I've done it every time I competed. I've suffered with it again.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so it's a scary thing. I did get abs after doing it.
Did you?
I'm not advocating for it. I'm not even going to smile. No, back up. So yeah, I mean, struggle with that, and it's not a lot of fun, and so I resonate with that a lot. So yeah, I don't even know where we're going.
That's a crazy story, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course, I think it's important. I think it's really important. Yeah. I think it's one of the. I'm super thankful for it. Because if I hadn't been through that, I wouldn't. Think the way that I think now. I'm really big on that.
I am too. I think it's really important for people to share that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's important to share that stuff, and I think that, and like David Goggins is big on that sort of. It's like we develop from negative things.
Exactly.
We don't develop from positive things. We learn nothing from positive stuff. So I mean, having like a lot of people would tell me like, oh, Tiger, you had like a harder childhood, and I'm like so grateful that I had that. Because I realized that's what's pushed me to where I am. Like that's the reason I work the way that I work. Yeah, like that's the reason I do everything I do. And so like I'm super blessed that I got to experience that. Like I think it would be much harder for me to do 100 days in a row or to do 60 hours a week like I'm doing had I like grown up with money.
Just an easy life.
Had I grown up like with everything handed to me and me being taken care of. And so I think it's good. I think some people need to face more
That's how the pendulum goes, man. There's that old saying that says, great times create weak men. Weak men create strong times. Strong times create weak men.
Yeah. You got it pretty much right. People understand. They understand. They're following. Yeah, exactly. When things are easy, you get soft. Right. You get comfortable. And like David Goggins talks about that. He's always like, oh, like remain uncivilized.
Too many people are comfortable. They're comfortable. It's a modern thing that we do, just sitting around in office chairs all day.
It's hard, dude. It's hard to stay away from that because I get there. We all get there. And so like you have to convince yourself. And so this will be cool. This is a story about Rodney Steven. that just goes through the grapevine. And there's like a lot of stories that run through the grapevine about him through the company that are like amazing stories that like are super, super motivating. But I'm going to like generalize the story so I don't give too much details away because I don't want to talk about too much. But basically, let's say that there was like a situation going on. And I guess Rodney had like forewarned somebody like, hey, like the situation's going on, like make sure you get that taken care of, right? And the person didn't really take care of the situation. So 6 months later, Rodney said to him, and I remember this forever. He told him like, if you would have acted as if the world was ending 6 months ago, this problem would have never happened. But you waited until the world ended. And I love that to death, dude. That's such a good statement. So like you have to convince yourself that like whatever problem you're facing, and allegedly he calls it zombie hunting. Right? Where it's like, anytime I see a problem, I just get rid of it. Right? Instead of like waiting for the zombies to get to me and then taking it, like, I was like, I'm going out hunting for them. I'm looking for problems to solve so that they never actually hit me. And it's like that level of like being uncivilized or not being comfortable is the reason that he's where he is.
That's great advice.
So yeah, that dude works his ass
Most people that are that successful as the Stevens family, are workaholics. They have that mindset.
Work.
Yeah.
They work. They work so hard. I wish more people saw that, truthfully. Like when we had the whole Vasa takeover thing, that was like a very controversial situation. I don't know if you watch social media at all when that happened.
I don't pay attention to it too much, but I do know that there's a little bit of controversy that follows their name around town.
Yeah,
on certain
there
things.
is. I mean, they know it. They're aware of that. And unfortunately, the sad part is like every time I've heard of that situation, it's never a firsthand experience.
Yeah.
It's always like,
it's always through the grapevine.
My cousin's brother's sister had this happen. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, there's probably more to that story that you don't know. I'm lucky enough to have some firsthand experience. The most I've had was I went to Miami in July or June because I had one trainer of the year. So I got to go to this conference in Miami. And you get to see it there where it's like, he was working every single day we're there, the entire day. He walks 3 times as fast as everybody you know.
Yeah.
Right? I was also lucky enough, I went to, when we opened our new club in Manhattan about a year and a half ago, I went down to help the opening overnight. And so we did this like big opening. And so I got off work at 6 p.m., right? I started the day at 5 a.m. I got off at 6 p.m., drove with my boss all the way to Manhattan. We got there at like 9. We worked until 2 a.m., drove back, got home at 4 a.m., and then I started my next day at 5 a.m. So
it's hardcore,
I slept a little bit in the car, right? So you think that's hardcore. Rodney is like in the trenches, okay? And this is a really cool story. This is like my one personal account of like seeing this man just grind. And so I was working at the old club most of the day. And so I'm like loading old gym equipment in, or like some of the nicer stuff we were moving to the new club because there's an old club in Manhattan. And so I wasn't at the new club yet. So at like 1:30 or 1 o'clock, we go over to the new club to finish up pretty much.
Yeah.
And Rodney had ordered pizza for everybody. So everyone's kind of eating pizza. And so me and my boss, we grab some pizza and we head upstairs to like tour the club. And I see Rodney and then 2 other guys on the other side of a treadmill. So like, can they see my phone? Yeah. All right. So
if you point it to the camera.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it right there. Okay. Let's say that this is our treadmill, right? You have a guy here, and Rodney's here, right? Mm-hmm. And they need a 4th person to pick up this treadmill because like the way the lane is, they can't get through without going up and over. And again, it's like 1:30 in the morning right now, and I got pizza in my hand, and so does my boss. So my boss, Rodney, looks at us and he goes, "Hey, we need help," right? And my boss tries to give me his pizza. I'm like, no. Like, I'm getting the brownie point. So I shove the pizza back in his hands and put my pizza on top, and I run over there to go help Rodney, right? Okay? And everybody in the club right now is eating pizza except for Rodney and these 2 other dudes. And so I go pick up, like, my corner, and before I pick it up, Rodney's like, "Hurry up, let's go." He's already got it picked up. And he's holding it with one hand, okay? And I shit you not, this dude was he was hurdling, like jumping over treadmills, holding it in one hand, and I'm like struggling. I'm 20 years old or 21 years old, right? I'm young, fit. I'm like struggling to hang on with the pace of everything with 2 hands. I'm beat dead tired. And he's like hurdling it with one hand.
He had that drive in his mind.
And like, I see him, I look over, and he kind of looks at me, and he smiles, and he keeps going. I'm not even joking, dude. It was one of the wildest things I've ever experienced. I was just like, okay, all these things are stories. This guy doesn't work. Like, he doesn't work that hard, right? And he just bitched me.
Crazy.
And like never said anything about it. I bet he doesn't even remember it.
Probably not.
I bet he doesn't even remember it.
That's just his go mode, you know.
He's
like
just
that
on.
all the time.
And I'm like, I don't know how you do that. That stuff's crazy. So I mean, I've been lucky enough to like talk to him one-on-one and stuff like that. And Yeah, I just don't get it. Like,
it's a different mindset.
I feel like I'm working hard, and then I'm around him, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm still haven't made it yet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not there yet. So I'm trying to get there, and like a lot of our team operates that way. Like a lot of our higher ups. So like we have a VP of fitness, and so like he moves at the same pace.
Yeah.
And so those guys it's really crazy. I wish more people could see what I get to see. I think I'm lucky for that aspect too, that I get to see them one-on-one. I'm from Salina, and so we don't have that noise in Salina.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a thing in Salina. And so coming to Wichita, hearing that, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, because I'd go work out at the Genesis in Salina every now and then. That's kind of interesting. And I looked at all the other places I could work. I looked at Vasa and everything else, and they pay way less.
Yeah.
They pay way less. And I'm like, well, what the heck? Everyone says all this stuff about Genesis, but why do they pay their trainers way more, right? If they're like really bad, you know, and it's a really bad company, why do they pay their staff so much?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense, right? And so I was like, I'm just going to go find out. Like, I'll find out for myself. And I started working for the company. I've loved every minute of it, dude. I've loved the whole thing. I'm a giant advocate. I'm going to sound like I'm biased, but I mean.
No, I mean, you found it. You love it, obviously. You're not just bullshitting.
I mean, they give me PTO and help. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Right.
So, I love them. I love that company. I love the company. I mean, I see his kids all the time, too, because they come into my club. And I was really impressed with them out of the gate, too, with the way they behave. I think that'd be hard. I know that if I...
Juggling all that on top of everything you already do.
I think if I was, well, not to mention, like, how do you parent so well with all this stuff you're doing, right? And on top of that, like, my parents, and I love my parents, both of them, to death, but like, they had to tell me no because there was no other option.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't like a willpower thing. It was we couldn't afford it, right? And that's a different situation where it's like you have to like actually tell your kids
when
no.
you're Rodney Stevens' kids.
Yeah, you have to instill that work ethic in them, and those dudes work super hard. And so I was really surprised about that. That was like the first thing I noticed. And then I've never really ran into an issue as far as the company goes. Everything's always been really clean and well done, and I feel like I've been taken care of fairly. And so, yeah, I'm a big advocate.
That's great, man. I'm happy for you. You found the place that you need to be, it sounds like. What's your advice out there for anybody else that wants to become a personal trainer outside of Genesis or whatever?
Well, call me first.
Call you first.
As soon as you can.
What's your contact info?
So my personal number, because I'll just give it out.
You're going to throw that out?
Yeah, I don't care. Call me, okay? You leave a voicemail, because if I don't answer it, I'm probably working. Okay, leave a voicemail or text me. Is 785-643-1477. How many people watch this?
I don't know.
Okay, well, if I get a lot of calls, cool, not a problem, right? You can contact that if you want to work out too. So yeah, I don't mind. Call me, and I'll talk to you guys through it about what you need to do. But regardless, like let's say that you're not in an area where Genesis is there, because I truthfully I wouldn't recommend working somewhere else because I don't think you're going to be as successful. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be hard to make a living working at like a YMCA. I think they pay out like $15 an hour, right? That's gonna be really hard, right? And you're not. That's not a lifestyle. That's not a career. So if you're like looking to make this a career, you're gonna need to find a gym like Genesis, if it's not Genesis, that allows you to grow at that rate and supports you. And odds are you're not gonna find another gym that offers you healthcare and PTO. I mean, it's rare that stuff like that gets offered. I mean, a lot of jobs don't even have that anymore. So, yeah, reach out to me directly. I get to interview people now, which is kind of cool, kind of new. So
yeah, tell me real quick about your podcast. We're coming up on an hour and a half already.
Oh, so. I don't have a podcast.
But you were talking about.
I was thinking about it. Because I wanted to have something to just like put out information regarding training.
Yeah.
And I also think there is like a missing resource for trainers like looking to improve their business. So there's like a little bit of a hole there where like getting to talk about like business strategy and stuff like that would be really good. And that's something I'm really interested in too, is a coaching aspect. I do coach a small team, and I love doing that. So overall, like my main like mission in general is like to make people as healthy as possible, like as many people as I can.
Get the word out there as much as you can.
The more people I can help, the better. And so like right now, my limiting factor is like I can't train more people. Like I can't work with more individuals. You know, I have a couple slots that open up every now and then, but like I'm operating pretty much at capacity all the time. I've had a waiting list before.
That's when you got to increase prices then, right?
Well, they came up a little bit. So, but I don't want to rely on that either.
Yeah.
You know, because like again, the mission isn't to make a lot of money. The last reason I increased prices was purely so I could compete with the guys in Kansas City. That was the only reason. I would have never moved them up. Yeah. Truthfully, I mean, I'm doing okay. I'm comfortable. I don't do this for the money at this point. My whole goal in life growing up was always I want to make $100,000 a year, and I'm gonna be there. I think so. That's it for me.
Awesome,
I don't need
man.
more than that. The thing I want now is I want to make sure I keep winning Trainer of the Year, because that's just a goal of mine. I don't like losing.
Yeah.
And then to get as many people as possible to work out. So right now, like my main way to influence that is getting more people to become trainers.
Yeah.
So that they can work on people. And so that's like the next step right now.
Right on, man. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for telling us all about yourself and
Yeah.
your mission and your goals and your personal struggles. I mean, it means a lot. It's important for people to hear that stuff. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, dude. This is really cool. I'm going to tell people about this.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right. Send everybody you can my way.
Yeah,
I'll talk to
hopefully.
anybody.
What all have you done? What's like the coolest job you've done so far? Anything
Oh,
crazy?
you know, people ask me that all the time, and I've done so many now. I just don't really. I can't pick out one or anything. My favorite personally is my dad's because
That's cool.
he started out as a mailman and ended up becoming an accountant and then a CFO and then just really made his life how he wanted to and changed it. You know, and he's a prime example too of it's never too late to change directions.
Yeah, move up.
Yeah.
How much do you feel like you've learned a lot from doing this? Because I bet you just learn all day.
I do, yeah, dude. I'm like a sponge here. I don't even like to talk that much. Like if I'm talking a lot on this podcast, it's not flowing like it should. I'm sitting here to learn.
I'm so jealous
And
of that.
I like doing it. I did this before anyways, you know, with people.
Yeah.
Not in this format, but like, you know, at the bar. That's kind of how I got this idea.
Well, that's the same thing I do.
I love to listen to people's stories. I love to listen to people's journeys. I like to listen to their advice. I like to learn things all the time, you know. And that's all I'm doing here. So
Dude, I'm so jealous of that. That's like my favorite part of my job.
Yeah.
Like, because I train everybody that works with me is older than
it's
me.
the best.
And so I just constantly absorb and learn. And
Yeah.
I mean, you get a referral for everything.
Yeah,
I
you
know,
do.
I got a plumber. I got a
Dude,
real
the amount of
estate agent, you get
connections that
everything.
I make just doing this, you know,
It's the same way in this business.
fucking crazy.
That's like the undersaid perk that I should have mentioned a long time
Yeah.
ago. It's like anytime I need work done around my house, like I have a guy. I got a
Right.
guy that can help me. I got
Yeah.
a mechanic. You know, you got everything. And
Yeah.
so that's another perk that isn't even can't
It's huge.
quantify.
It's huge.
So-
So yeah, it's been great, man. If you ever need some advice or anything on starting a podcast, I'm definitely there to help you out.
Yeah,
Just
this
let me
would be
know.
sick. I mean, I need a co-host.
'Cause it was a huge learning curve for me, for sure. You know, I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, this is well done. My boss was like, "Well, do you think it's gonna be like a cell phone?" I'm like, "I don't have a clue, dude, but this is like high quality stuff. This is really good."
That's the most important step. If you're going to do a podcast, you have to have great audio.
Yeah, do it.
Nobody's going to listen to a podcast that sounds like it's recorded on a cell phone or in a garage, you know. The most important thing is make sure your audio is there. You don't need video. That's just an extra thing that I wanted to do. So, well, we can talk about this.
Yeah,
off air.
This is
sometime.
cool. We can go off.
Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for everything you do, man. Tell people where they can find you on Instagram, Facebook.
So I'm in Instagram. Which camera do I look into? One
This
of
one
them?
right here.
I'm in Instagram. I'm on Instagram at tiger.faulkner. So you can follow me on there. Or again, I gave out my phone number earlier. So
Yeah.
if you listen to the whole thing, you can find
So
it.
hit him up.
Text me and call me.
Yep. Go get his advice. Go get some training from him, whatever you might need. And thank you, sir, for everything. We drank Diet Coke today, by the way. I didn't mention that yet.
Yeah, Diet Coke.
I had a little mixer in mine, but,
I got work at 5 a.m.
you know,
tomorrow.
we get by.
I gotta go.